Good thing I can't bet money on this because Timothy Cheruiyot just did me dirty. Alright, bye, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to break down what just happened at the Prefontaine Classic. If you haven't been here for one of my reviews before, I'm not going to go through the whole meet. I'm just going to go through it today. I have kind of 4 bullet points I want to hit. Some things I've talked about before, some things I want to follow up on. Anyway, let's just dive right into the freaking meet. The first takeaway I want to have. So, I put out a video, maybe like a month and a half ago now, when all the Caster Semenya nonsense was going on, that has revealed that she was going to race the 3K at Prefontaine. I went through a whole video kind of explaining what we should expect out of Caster Semenya from the 3K and that she's more of a 400, 800 meter runner. Anyway, that video is now moot because because IAAF and Caster Semenya are still in court battling over everything that's going on. It's in the Court of Arbitration of Sports. Actually, it's in the Switzerland court's hands, so who knows anymore. So Caster Semenya is 31 for 31 of her last 31 races, wins handily, runs 155, so just not even a second off her PR. But I realized today that for as dominant as Caster Semenya is, her races are now kind of take a lot of the sting out of the women's 800 for me, because she shows up, she's going to win. You know that she's going to win. But the excitement isn't necessarily in the race, because even though Aji Wilson can challenge her at times, most of the time, like she ran 158 today, 3 seconds off, and Semenya was kind of up. She was forcing at the rabbit. Just her race the whole time. But all the noise surrounding the race kind of makes the race itself not that important. So, Caster Semenya ran the 800 at Pre, won it pretty handedly, and it wasn't my biggest takeaway. I'd almost forgotten about it when I sat down to do this video. So take that for what you will. Christian Coleman ran 9.81 and is having himself a year. He won the Rome meet a few weeks back. He has beaten Noah Lyles this year. He now beats Justin Gatlin, and Justin Gatlin runs 9.87. So let's take a look at the USA 100 meter list right now. So we have Christian Coleman at 9.81. Justin Gatlin is in third with today's performance running 9.87. Noah Lyles is in second, running 9.86 back in Shanghai. USATF's is going to be very interesting, especially because Michael Rogers hasn't broken 10 yet this year, and you would expect him to. And there's still big names on the list that haven't really opened up their seasons that much. The top 3 it's going to be fun. It's going to get interesting. You also have Craven Gillespie, ran 9.93 earlier this year as well. It's a long season. The thing with these USATFs being so far away is that it's going to be hard to kind of predict this far out what's going to happen, because people that have opened up their season strong might have peaked too early, might not be able to hold on. However, Christian Coleman looks like he's going to go sub 9.8. Looks like he can challenge 9.7 at some point. And that will be something to keep an eye on. Moving on to the women's steeplechase, and Beatrice Chepkoech is just too good right now. So the world record holder last year, she won out and kind of came out of nowhere to run her 8.44. That was the same race that Courtney Frericks got second and ran her 9 flat. American record. This race was stacked with talent in the steeplechase. I kind of overlooked it last week, but just to emphasize how stacked, this is basically what a world championship final would look like with this field. But Chepkoech, it was pretty much her race the whole time. You had her in the pack with Coburn, and Kiang and Jakeme were all up there, and Coburn actually looked pretty good too. She kind of fell over the last few laps. But just to describe the race a little bit, the race went out fast. And I, kind of watching it, it looked like Coburn was overextending herself because her form just something just off. But maybe she wasn't expecting it to go out like it did, and it kind of knocked her off her rhythm. But I thought over the last few laps that even though she was definitely extended with the times that they were running, she still looked pretty good over the hurdles. Now, over the steeples. Now, she fell with the third to last lap, I believe, but she rebounded very nicely. And in fact, her last steeple and then her last water jump were picture perfect. I had an audible gasp because she was jumping over it next to Kiang, and Kiang kind of stumbled over the water jump and Emma kind of skipped over it, 1 foot in the water, picture perfect jump, and kind of breezed on through to second place finish. Now, she runs 9:04.9. If she doesn't fall, I think she probably competes for the record. Now, it's still pretty early in the season. So the fact that she's running 9.49 while falling in the process, it's a pretty good indication that she wants that American record back. Now, Courtney Frerichs, the current American record holder, also ran 9:09, and that's opening up the season. So she ran 9:09.7. Colleen Quigley, her training partner, ran 9:11.41. I think it's possible that Chepkoech takes down the world record again, because she's 10 seconds off early season. By the time we get into the later portion of the season, I think it's going to go. And it was kind of hot and windy today, it looked like. So I think that might have played more of an impact than we think. But Coburn, Frerichs, Quigley, because Courtney opened up her season. Emma hasn't steepled yet this year, so she has. This is her second steeple. And Colleen hasn't steepled yet this year. So they're opening up their season at 9:11 or under. My bold prediction is that all three of them go under 9 this year. So I think that U.S. record gets broken. I think all three of them get under it. Who's the last woman standing in the end will be the big question. Now, on to my biggest blunder of the week. So I put out a video a couple days ago previewing the Bowerman Mile. And I thought that Yomif Kejelcha was just too good for anyone to be able to handle. And I thought that Matthew Centrowitz might be able to surprise some people. Now, I also said that Timothy Cheruiyot and Elena Suleiman you can't count them out. But I did not commit to that. I definitely committed hard to the Kejelcha narrative. But I was way off, because Kejelcha never really looked like... initially he looked like he was in it, but laps 3 and 4, he never looked like he was contending. Cheruiyot was out there. Suleiman was on his tail, but Cheruiyot had this race from the start. Philip and Jakob Ingebrigtsen were right there too. So that little chase pack looked really good behind Cheruiyot. And then Craig Engels and Matthew Centrowitz closed hard. If this race was another half lap, Craig Engels might have won with how hard he was closing. It was good. So, to recap, Timothy Cheruiyot runs 3:50.49. So, this is a pretty quick race. So, that's a facility record. That's a world lead, obviously. Not a PR or season best, obviously, for Cheruiyot. But he looked good. He looked really good. This is probably his breakout race of the year for him. Suleiman also looked good because he's had a rough couple years. So since he came on in 2014, he hasn't been able to find that form necessarily the past few years. But running 3:51.22, that's a season best. Coming in second, contending the whole time. It seems like he's getting back up to that threshold he needs to be. Philip and Jakob Ingebrigtsen, it surprised me. Jakob Ingebrigtsen's still in 19 and he's running like this. They both run 3:51. Philip beats Jakob by a few seconds, or a few tenths of a second. Craig Engels, 3:51.6. So he came from outside the top 10 and closed hard. And you can always tell with this mold and his facial hair that you know he's coming. Then right behind him were Centro and Ben Blankenship, running 3:52.26 and 3:52.51. That's Centro's season opener. So that's a solid season opener, especially because he hasn't necessarily been one to chase PRs in the past. But since the move to Bowerman, he hasn't raced yet. And he has to be pretty freaking happy with running 3:52, even though knowing him and how competitive he is, he probably wanted to be up in the mix. Sammy Safara, kind of rounding out the top 8, running 3:53. All in all, the whole field goes under 4. So it's not necessarily to say that Kejelcha, Nick Willis, and Managoy aren't good today. They just weren't up in the mix, and the difference between 3:50 and 3:58 when you aren't on top of your game on this day, it's a big difference. So that's what ends up coming down to. So to close this thing out, moving on to some Twitter takes, I asked you guys kind of what your main takeaways are, and this is kind of a combined point. I'll kind of flash it on screen here. Sarah Minkus says, Faith Kipiego's returned from maternity leave. So in the 1500, Faith Kipyego ended up winning it. She's coming off a long break. She beats out Laura Mir, beats out Shelby Houlihan. Fantastic performance. But while I'm watching this, I'm just kind of thinking, like, why isn't this a mile? It's not a Diamond League event. So already you don't have to conform to the IAAF standards. And I get that people need to run times to qualify, but it's not like this is the last meet of the year. It's not even close to the first meet of the year. We have the Bowerman Mile. Why don't we have a women's equivalent of that? The mile is the most important race of the meet, one of the most important races of the year. You finish it off with a 100, the men's 100, which is high profile in the Bowerman Mile. What if you switch things around and you had some sort of women's version? So I floated this out there. When are we finally going to do a women's Bowerman Mile? Sally Bergenson said, we'll create a Sarah Fleshman Mile instead. And yeah, that's fine. Something needs to be done, though, and there needs to be a women's equivalent at pre. I think just to raise that standard. Women can run a mile too. It's not a men-centric event. They do all the time. I don't know why. I know a lot of it is because breaking four has been such a romantic idea for so long, and that there isn't necessarily an equivalent to the women. Like breaking 420 isn't as romantic of a barrier as breaking four flat, because breaking the time code and it took so long to do. But I think it's about time we explore that and explore kind of how to raise that stake and how can we make an equivalent event that has just as much hype around it. Yeah, that's where I want to leave you guys today. What would you want to replace the 1500 with a women's mile equivalent to the Bowerman of the same hype and magnitude? And what were your overall thoughts of the event? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, if you want to see more meet recaps, give me a little thumbs up and make sure you subscribe so you're the first one to see them.